I've finally managed to get my hands on the gun that everybody is talking about at the moment, the brand new 688 from Beretta. I was really, really sceptical when they released this. I am not a fan of laminate stocks, but after watching both Johnny and Lloyd's review on this, and they've absolutely raved about it, they finally sent one out, and it's time to see if it is as good as they both say it is. Well, proof's in the pudding there. That is a fantastic start. Everything the guys have said about it is true. The perceived recoil, there's just none. It's so smooth to shoot. Obviously that laminated stock, with it being manufactured, just controls the recoil so beautifully. And obviously with the beefed up action that they've put on the 688, just thickening up here through the fences of the action, it holds a lot more weight. So it's definitely a heavier gun than obviously like a standard Silver Pigeon or 680 series. Just deals with everything really, really well. Obviously we've got the shot cam on it, but prior to putting it on, the balance point is perfectly on the joint pin on this one. It handles absolutely incredibly well. And I'm only shooting it with the modified and improved modified chokes, and they are just absolutely destroying stuff. That is an absolute joy to shoot. I really like shooting the Beretta at the moment, and they have got some cracking targets set up here. The big right to left crosser, it was just absolutely motion it with that improved modified choke. And I'm only shooting sporting 108s. Fantastic. So I'm going to head up the sporting layout, see how we get on. But first, stand one, super sporting. Pair of tail on this one. I always like to see with these just how long I can leave them before you lose them and break them. It's just a bit of a test for me for how quickly you can move the gun. Just leave the target for as long as you can and drive through. This has got to be my favourite stand on the course at the moment. So we've got a right to left looper followed by a left to right mini. It's just a really nice change of speed. There's just something about this stand I just find really, really nice. You've got a bit of time on the first target and a really, really quick movement into the second. 4. So stand 7, another super sporting stand. So 4 different pairs. This is an awesome little stand, this is. They've set it up so incredibly well. They put some really, really cracking, challenging stuff on. And I think it's a really good stand to finish on with this, because it's a real testament of 4 different targets, 4 different pairs. Obviously the changing speeds, angles and everything, just seeing how well the gun takes on all different kinds of targets. And obviously today, I've found that it handles absolutely beautifully. I am really impressed. It's one of those things that, with the laminate stock, I didn't really want to like it, but I'm not saying the laminate's grown on me, but the feel of it, the balance, how it shoots, how it patterns, everything is just absolutely top notch. I think it'd be nice with a wood option for us traditional boys, but even with this laminate, it really, really does shoot nicely. So let's talk money first. Now the 688 sits really, really nicely between the Silver Pigeon 1 at just over £2,000 and the 694 at £4,500. They come in at £2,995. So they're a really nice stepping stone from a standard Silver Pigeon 1 Sporter up to that 694. It's a really good stepping stone, I think, for many a shooter. We have been lucky enough to be able to offer this one here that I have shot at 2749. So you've got a lovely saving on the RRP. Now, shooting experience, I really enjoyed it. However, I have got two gripes with the gun, three gripes with the gun. One is a Beretta gripe and the other two are gun gripes. So the Beretta gripe that I have, and I see this with all of their models, is that what they offer you inside your Beretta case, it's not a huge amount of stuff. I always see it with like Browning, for example. You buy a Pro Sport or an XS Pro, and you get a set of barrel weights, a set of stock weights, additional chokes. You get 2 boxes full of goodies inside your case, and Beretta don't offer that. Everything else that you want, from stock weights to barrel weights to a few more chokes, everything is additional on top of that. And I think it's more of a Beretta gripe than a gun gripe. The first gripe I have with it is the pistol grip. I don't think the palm swell for me is quite prominent enough. It is quite narrow. There's not really, for me, there isn't really a palm swell. I cannot feel very much there. The other gripe is the fore end. I think it's because of the laminate, nothing else. It just has quite a thin feel to it, and it also makes the checkering feel quite sharp. I mean, we're really nitpicking here, but it's part and parcel of what we do. All the other things that they have done with this new model, I really like. I love how they've beefed up the action. I always find Berettas, especially the 680 series, they're all too light for me. So they've beefed that action up, they've put more weight in there, right in between the hands, and I think that is really, really nice. Also, on the top of the action, they have got this stippled effect, which is obviously just to reduce glare. Most people are not going to notice that, but it's just a really, really nice little addition. And the other thing is, they have changed the position of the hold open catch point. Now, traditional Berettas, the hold open catch would be on the right-hand side of the action over here, and they have moved it right to the top of the gun. Now, what this means is that you can be really, really gentle with closing the gun, and it will drop that lever across really positively, just giving it a more a higher value is the wrong word, but a more positive feel. You can be really gentle with the gun. You don't have to slam it around and bang it, and it just drops in and it clunks itself close. I mean, obviously, hopefully you can hear it through my mic, but no effort at all. And that, I think, is a really nice feat. They've just changed that engineering just slightly, and it gives it just a little bit of a nicer feel. I like the action. I think they've gone nice and plain, some nice lines through it. Just gives it a little bit of character, not too much. However, I would really love to see Beretta offer this in a wood stock. It's a nice action, it's a pretty action. And for people like me who are a little bit old school, a little bit more traditional, I really would like to see it in a wood stock. That would be a really nice option. However, again, I'm going to contradict myself. Laminate is a manufactured, engineered stock. There's not really much else to say about it. And because of that, how it handles recoil is completely different. Everything is very, very, very linear. And it almost feels, and this is probably going to sound wrong comparing it to it, but when I shot the Longthorn, that all of the recoil was very linear through the gun. And obviously, because the grain all runs through the stock at the same angle, there's no movement in it. It's really easy to shoot and just effortless. I think sort of earlier in the year, we did the DT11 video, and as I said in it, it was a really nicely figured stock, and there was just something not quite right for me about how I perceived the recoil, whereas this is the complete opposite. There was just none of it. And obviously, we're not shooting punchy cartridges, we're shooting the Hall Sporting 100s, so they're not a punchy cartridge. And it was just, the gun was effortless to shoot. And as well, I put a lot of that down to the balance. You've got a 32-inch gun with an inch extended choke, and you are literally like just in front of the joint pin there. And it's nimble, but it's got substance. The gun can move really quickly when you need it to, but also handles well in a long, slow shooting scenario on like a long crosser. just as it's set up now with no weights in it, nothing, it just handles everything really, really in its stride. And I do think it's a real contender in that market, that £3,000 market, because there isn't a huge amount of stuff in there. So when you put it up against everything else that's in the market at sort of top end of £4,000, this really, really is a strong contender. And obviously, again, we go back to that laminate stock. In the sporting scenario, it is absolutely perfect. It's hard wearing, it's weatherproof, it delivers its recoil really nicely. Obviously, the downside to laminate is if you mark it and you're buggered. But other than that, I can't see any drawbacks to it. Don't get me wrong, it's the laminate I'm not a big fan of. It's not gaudy, it's nice that it's grey with the white through it. It's not over the top, it's not in your face, you know, so it is really subtle and it's not too bad. But, you know, I really, really see where they're coming from with this, and I potentially see a few more people following in their stride with a few higher end sporting clays gun. I am a bit surprised with it. It's one of those guns that when Beretta originally released it, I took a look at it and I was like, nah, it's not for me. You know, the orange on the action, you know, the laminate stock, it just really, really didn't do much for me. But having shot it, having tried it, obviously using it with the chokes that we have in, which was the modified, improved, modified in the Optima HP, the breaks that we were getting, you know, at both close and long range, and I shot 8s all day. There was no change in cartridge. Incredibly impressed. There is going to be a link in the description below for it on our website if you would like to have a look at it. As I said, it is an X demo. We have got 250 quid off the RRP. Please feel free to have a look. Thank you for watching this week, guys. Be back to you next week with another video.